This is the newspaper review here on Top TV, and I'm excited to have you join me here. My name is William Savile, and this is where we'll be bringing you the headlines across newspapers around Nigeria. So you are very much welcome. You're in time and in the right place. All right, we'll be doing that shortly, and to do that with me is Miss Jennifer. One more. You're welcome.
Thank you very
All
much.
right, good to have you here on the program.
Thank
And our
you.
viewers too, you all are the MVPs. We want to thank you so much for always joining us on this program and of course dropping your comments and your reactions. It's quite interesting to see what you think about this headline. So don't forget to also do that today by dropping your comments and your reactions on the comment section. We love to know what you think about this headline. And of course, follow us on all our social media handles. We're on Facebook at Stop TV. On Instagram is Stop TV underscore NG, and on Twitter is at Top TV. So of course, you connect with us on all of these platforms. We really want to know what you think about our very numerous interesting programs we have here on Top TV. So for today, let's go straight to taking the headlines, and we'll begin that with the Vanguard newspaper for today, the 28th day in the month of October. Yes, this month is done with, and we just have 2 more months to go. Most especially 3 months to the general elections. Are you getting ready? Sometime maybe first within the next month, we are going to be picking up our PVCs. Ensure you pick yours so that you can get participated or you participate in the general elections. Very important to the next phase of this our beautiful country, Nigeria. So let's leave that and go straight to the papers. And on Vanguard today, we see from the very top part of that paper, NDDC, Aqua must account for 300 billion naira contracts awarded without due process. Umana speaking there, and that story is on page 9 of the Vanguard. We also see insecurity. Commuters groan as criminals take over Otukpo Aliade Makodi Road. All right, we move downwards of the paper. We see pension funds investment in corporate securities rise 43.9% to 1.4 trillion naira. That story you find on page 19 of the Vanguard. As the main headline on the Vanguard here, it says UK insists on terror alert as major mall shuts operation. FCDA reclaims Buhari Law School land. FCDO advises British nationals against traveling to FCT. 13 other states. Alleged raid on Trademore estate by DSS American soldier false. FCT police saying Abuja is safe, FCC minister declares. I expect Buhari to stop million-man marches, Professor Akinyemi insists Nigeria lacks capability to pick intelligence reports like US. After Nigeria, US issues alert on terror attack in South Africa. All right, details of that story is on page 5 of the Vanguard. All right, moving on to other headlines on the Vanguard. Here we see why federal government is keeping Nnamdi Kanu despite court ruling. Malami speaking. That story is on page 11 of the Vanguard newspaper. And lastly, I'll take this one and say flood hinders petrol distribution in Abuja as vessels discharge in Lagos. You find details on page 3 of the Vanguard newspaper. Oh, right, Ms. Janie, I'm going to come to you. Very interesting stories here. I'm sure the story that is making the rounds at the moment is of the terror attack. It's virtually on all the papers for today, and I'd like us to just give a brief look of that story. It says UK insists on terror alert as major mall shuts operations. So the federal government is beginning to yield to the terror alert that the UK and the United States have been putting out. Mind you, this alert has been, put out like a week ago to
Yeah,
the Nigerian
the
government saying that
23rd, yeah.
do something about it. There might be an attack, but we saw just right after that, terror alert was given to the government. Lai Mohammed came out to refute it and say, Nigeria is more
Is
safer
more safer and
than ever.
there is no cause for
Yes,
alarm.
yes. So, what do you think about their response now and the entire story generally?
What I have to say about this is that insecurity here in Nigeria is not just a thing of today. It's been. The occurrence right now is on a very high
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
So to the normal man, let me say to the ordinary man,
Yeah.
we've been living in a very insecure Nigeria. And it's very surprising and shocking how Abuja, the federal capital, that's the federal territory of the country, where the seat of power, where there's supposed to be enough security, how the panic has grown all of a sudden. That is very, very alarming. And I don't blame the US or UK for whatever they are doing, because these are people that value whatsoever person they have, from the most little person to the highest. So they take it at heart that whatever wants to happen, we need to move before it happens. Though the Minister of Information has come out to say, oh, please, there's no cause for panic, there's no cause for alarm, stop telling your people to stay away. But I think it's true. Behind every room is not a rumor anyway. The insecurity is at its height. It has gotten to the climax. So whatever the US is doing here, trying to evacuate their top people, are the ones that right now, I think they said the people that are not much engaged in activities here should try to get back to wherever they are coming from. Because, you know, they might not, the insecurity sure is true, but the US might not be trusting the Nigerian government to tackle it.
Yeah, that's just it.
Tackle it the way that they might do it over there. Yes, because I was trying to relate this, if it was a vice versa something, and say this was actually happening to Nigerians across the border. The Nigeria will not call that way. Nigerian government will not call so fast that way. So whatever the UK and the US embassy is doing here for their citizens, they are very much right. To me, they are very much right. So whenever Nigeria wants to tackle whatever is happening right now, because right now Abuja is very hot. There's this fear. There's this fear in Abuja right now. Yesterday they said the Jabi Mall was actually locked down. So there's this fear. They've also given tips to how to live in Abuja right now. When you're moving, don't go into a crowded area. When you're moving, stay with your mobile phones. But nobody knows when these stuff happen. Just like the time of the bombings, we don't know when it happened. So whatever the UK embassy is doing right now, I think that's the right step. Because one thing about the country is that you should value your people. Value your people first before any other thing can happen.
The only one of the most important responsibilities.
Lives and properties, because they would have not been in Nigeria if they don't have people here. So they're standing for their people.
Very true.
So
for
now,
me, I honestly feel that in as much as the moving of the United States personnel, even that of the UK, is trying to cause more chaos. A lot of people are more worried because they are seeing that happening, and it has created more tension than the way the federal government is trying to manage it. We don't know if the federal government is trying to say that there is no threat that the US should stop escalating it. We don't know whether they are saying that to try to calm the situation, calm people from being extremely scared and worried. But then it doesn't change the fact that we said it here on the program the other day when I was talking to Mr. Bright, that it doesn't change the fact that when a warning is given, it should be taken seriously. And
measures should be put in place
to avoid or reduce the impact of such terror attack if it ever takes place. And I was listening to Professor Akiemi on Arise News when he was being interviewed, and he said something that really made some sense to me when he said that if the US government has come out to give such a terror threat warning and say, okay, there might be an attack at some time, we don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah, that the government of Nigeria should take it very seriously and begin to work with the information that's been given to them, because the US information gathering is more robust than that of Nigeria, which is so true.
It is more robust than that of Nigeria. Let me come in here, and that is why since the information minister has come out to say, normally it's expected of him to come out and say, please, this is not it, or this is what it is. But since this is not it or this is what it is, measures should come on ground, just like you've mentioned earlier. The DSS should come up, the army, the military should come up. This is the Federal Capital Territory.
Yeah. So and then if such because before the U.S. Embassy begins to move their personnel the way they are doing, it might just be something big. We don't know if it will ever happen, but it might just be something big. And in that interview, he was saying, Professor Akemi, was saying that the U.S. may have picked up information in any part of the world because they have that level of information gathering, where they can gather information from Syria or from Afghanistan or from Pakistan or any part of the world.
They didn't just wake up one day.
Because they have people listening every minute, every time for information concerning their own safety. That's how they gather intelligence. And so if they've caught up one or two information about Nigeria and say, okay, since Nigeria is a country of interest for us, let's also want them to say, and I remember that when 9/11, before the attack hit the US, during the 9/11, we remember that Putin came on air to say that, they had gotten some information about something big that might happen in the US. And the US government somehow didn't, respond
to that level
that they thought it will be until something as huge as the 9/11 attack happened
never
to
knew
the
that
US.
it was going to
So
be that
at the
big.
moment, I'm thinking that the Nigerian government should do what they can. And in fact, their defense level should be on top notch at the moment because, like we've been mentioning, that is the seat of power. And before, just months ago, remember that there was also the Kuje prison breakout, where they broke out, hundreds of prisoners.
And right now, we don't know where these people are.
That prison was just behind the Aso Rock. It wasn't really far away from Aso Rock. So if that was done
terrorists could go to that length.
Yeah, so they might just have emboldened, a lot more people, or emboldened people that have been planning to attack the Federal Capital Territory. And so, this is not a play thing. I feel that aside the trainings we see on TV, which I feel are just mere optics, they should put work on ground. Like they should start working on securing, because if it hits them, it's not. It's
not them. But there's one thing I believe for sure. Whenever it comes closer to the people at the top, I think surely they'll definitely do something, because that Abuja is where everyone is right now.
Yeah, that's true.
That Abuja is where everywhere is now. So I trust the government. I trust the president. I also trust the Minister of Information that they're going to do something about that.
I believe so.
Yes.
For the fact that they're beginning to close down temporarily, that is, malls and some
places of
where
open
people gather and all of those
gatherings.
things. And then was the fact that we also heard on the news that they arrested some guys from one of the estates in Abuja over some bombs, making accusation, that kind of thing. So it's clear that.
But I just pray that this will not be the time when they'll go around arresting the wrong people for the right purpose,
or diverting their attention to things that are really not the main deal. So, but then we're hoping that God will help them to always figure out the right thing to do at every time, because we don't want crisis. We're heading towards a very important election for Nigeria, and we don't want disruptions.
I think right now Nigeria needs God more than any other thing.
I'm telling you, we don't want disruptions. We want this election to run smoothly without running. And of course, the loss of lives. We are tired of losing our brothers and our sisters. Whether you like it or not, we have family relatives in all these places.
In one way or the other,
someone
must be connected to you.
Of Abuja, so we don't want any of that to ever succeed. So the government should do the job they were, they said they want to do, or the job that they got into office for.
Yes.
Protecting lives and
protection of lives and property. This is the time.
They should. We've always been talking about intelligence gathering. This is the time that they
This
can
is the time for them. I don't know the reason why I'll be seeing a naval officer on the road instead of you being somewhere in the sea or something, or intelligence officers. I'll see them. I'll see them on the road.
Yeah.
Right now, they should be
This is where we
somewhere
need them.
cracking their brain up and saying, what can we do? What are the steps?
Very
How
true.
do we get that information? How do we locate these people? How do we know a person that is trying to, encroach into a place that you're not supposed to be?
Yeah.
This is the time.
Please, they should just
This is the
protect our
time.
country. We need it.
Very
All right,
well.
we're going to move on now to our next paper, and that paper would be the Daily Independence newspaper. And on the Daily Independence here, we see as headlines, Sanwo-Olu prioritizes human capital, environment, infrastructure, proposes 1.69 trillion naira for 2023 budget, says test running of Lekki Deep Sea Port begins next week. Other stories here, we see decision to redesign naira, positive for economy. I'll take that again, it's a decision to redesign naira, positive for economy. Experts speaking. All right, other headlines on the Daily Independence here, we see illegitimate funds won't be used in 2023 elections. Efcc, illegitimate funds won't be used in 2023 elections. Efcc promises to partner Inec in curbing vote buying. All right, other headlines here, it says Jabi Mall shuts down operations over terror threat in Abuja. Why bandits fear most? What bandits fear most is running out of drugs, Mara says. Mara says 10.6 million Nigerian cannabis users, highest in the world. Find details on page 29 of the Daily Independence. At the very bottom part, it says NAF to take, that's the Nigerian Air Force, to take delivery of 55 fighter helicopters in December. Investigates alleged airstrikes on civilians. All right, let's go back to this other story that broke just 2 days ago, and it's been on all the papers and also trending, and that is the story of the redesign of
the naira, right?
The naira, yes. We have the 200 naira note,
That's a trending one right now,
and the 1,000 naira note are set to be redesigned and pushed out on the 15th of December, which is just a few weeks from now. And according to the CBN governor, by the end of January, they would have phased out the current notes we are using, and new ones will be in operations. And we've gotten countless numbers of reactions, ranging from the disruptions this new note is going to cause in the economy and in the money market, plus the fact that e-naira notes, and then the positive side, of course, is the fact that they are going to mop up cash. According to the CBN governor, he says they have trillions of the current notes, out there in the hands of people and not in the banks. So these money are not in the system. They are somewhere, whether being hoarded, being kept somewhere or smuggled
piled
out.
Up somewhere.
So they don't know where this money is. So
they need the money to get to the bank.
This is another way of mopping up this money back into the system, because it will be required of people that have cash stacked up in their houses to come back and pay these monies into their bank accounts. And so EFCC is also on red alert. They are waiting at the banks, waiting for
that
people.
Was the first thing that crossed my mind, the EFCC.
Of course, they are waiting for people that will bring, you now, Jenny, you have only, in your account, you have only 5 million naira there.
Wow.
5 million has been showing there in the past 1 year. Suddenly, when they say they are mopping up cash, 200 million naira was suddenly paid into your account.
EFCC will just
they will love up
locate
on you.
me immediately.
They will love up on you. They'll be like, fine girl, where did you get that kind of money from? So those are the kind of things the CBN governor and, of course, the Nigerian government is trying to now deal with, plus the fact that elections are coming up. And sometime there's been the issue of vote buying. And so they're saying that with this new cash, new note, it's going to now, make people pay the old ones into the bank, and also be able make money more difficult for people to have in huge volume in terms of cash. So I'd just like you to just give an overview of the entire story.
Anyways, the redesigning of the naira. This particular news really came up with different reactions. Just to mention but a few, like you've mentioned earlier, you said it's got so many advantages and it's got so many disadvantages. And I think before any initiative have been decided to be carried out by the Central Bank Governor, Godwin Emefiele. He must have sat down with some people and said, these are the reasons why we should do this. But, you know, in the country where we found ourselves, to some extent, people just, sometimes the reactions, normally reactions should come because that is why I think they gave a signal to it. It's not as if they've done it. They want to.
Yeah,
they
and,
want.
and it begin 15th of next month.
It will begin by the 15th of
December
next month. And this thing that comes up, immediately they heard it, people heard it. Some people came up with it. You know, the conspiracy theory. Yeah, you know, people are like, this is why they're doing it. Is of their own benefit. I can remember the Central Bank Governor saying that so far so good. Some kidnappers, they've been using this, they've been piling up money because if we found out that so many of the kidnappers, they don't go to the bank to deposit money.
When you want to pay to collect, to get back your relative, you pay in cash.
They say come with cash and don't come with a please. And sometimes you begin to think, this large sum of money that they mention, sometimes they mention 300 million, even 2 million right now is just a chicken change for kids. So where do they keep it? Where do they
keep it in these bags and spend it in those areas where
Thank you.
Operate,
and come to talk about some of the politicians. Some of the politicians, they have money.
They have money stacked up
so
in their houses.
They decided to set up, you just see a bank somewhere, and normally that bank is supposed to be go in and come out, but if you stay and monitor from morning to night, you wouldn't see the common people going in and coming out. My mind is telling me something. I'm not trying to say anything, but you come to know, like, I want to go back to history. That this, I think Babangida or who had a whole lot of money.
Oh yeah.
Buried.
That was Abacha's side.
Sorry, Abacha. Then I also want to rightly quote a man in one of our states, Imo State. This man had money in the GP tank piled up. What for? What for? Now, the Central Bank Governor has come up to say for the past 10 years or how many years, the Naira has not been redesigned. So we found out that so far so good, the value of the Naira has really depreciated. It's not appreciating. If you come to the money market, the Naira is nothing. We are not gaining anything. And this is because they're trying to introduce this to curb the menace that's in the society right now. And also you notice that expecting the 2023 election, some people have already kept this money somewhere. This is what we're going to use it to do. Give me your PVC, and I'll give you my this. And the CBN is telling us that this is why we want to do this. So I'm begging Nigerians, like I'm not the president, but I'm also part of the country, and I know that my own it counts. I'm begging Nigerians, please don't feel bad. Redesigned though, not redesigned. It will still be for our own good. But on the other side, there's this particular reaction that came up and said, at a time like this, in this our country, a time like this, insecurity, flooding for the past, it's up to a month now.
Yeah, it's up to
flooding, this is what Nigeria is coming up with.
And then again,
we want to redesign the Naira.
Have you ever thought of the fact that if they are mopping up cash, people that are badly affected by this flooding, some of them are already cut off and in some areas that cannot come out to the bank. Some
and make deposits.
Some people's banks in their communities are not there anymore. So they may have to travel a very long distance, maybe a state or two.
To make the deposit.
And now Nigeria requires that. While they are struggling to keep themselves safe and out of the flooding, they are also thinking of how they are going to gather this money from their businesses that are in their houses to get up to the banks and pay out this money. So yes, it's going to be very stressful, but I hear the CBN governor coming out to say that these are necessary sacrifices that we must make for the greater good, because the advantages of the new design outweighs the pain that Nigerians are going to face as per consequences of mopping up the cash. And I've also analyzed it, and I think he might be right to some extent. We know that this is going to be very disruptive in terms of our economy and what's going to do to a lot of people. But I also believe that it has a lot more advantages. If truly, sincerely, that they had looked at the general elections and thought of the fact that okay, this is going to curb at least kidnapping for some time, because whether we like it or not, after some time, these new notes is still going to end up in the hands of these kidnappers
Thank
when they
you.
request for them. Because I mean, is it not the banks that issue this money and you have a gun to your loved one's head saying that I need 5 million, I need 20
People
million?
will still go and get the
You
new
know,
money
so,
and
so,
give them. So,
so
I'm sorry. There's a place I want to come
want
in.
to see.
You know, when I was talking about the conspiracy theory, some other people still came up with this and said, they were looking at the physical look of the naira and they were like, please, oh, please help us to remove the Arabic writing
Yeah.
on the five.
Okay, for this new note.
Yes. Help us to know on the new note, the Arabic write-up on the
It's still there on the new note.
on the old note.
All right.
Okay.
So,
So
on the new one, they don't want to see it anymore.
we don't want to
Well,
see
I don't
anymore.
know.
Or
The decision to either have what to be on it and what not to be on it
It's not us.
it's not open to the public, so that might not be the case. All right. So, well, we're going to move on to our last paper, and that would be the Daily Sun. But we want to take a quick break. When we come back from the break, we're going to jump right into our last paper for the day, and that would be the Daily Sun. So you stay tuned, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Now that you have registered for your PVC, it doesn't stop there. Ensure you pick up your PVC. Be alert. Join many Nigerians to vote credible leaders that will change the tide of this nation. Do not sell your vote. Remember, this is our future. Your vote is your voice.
This message is proudly brought to you by Thav Media Limited.
All right, welcome back from that short break. We're still here on the newspaper review on Tab TV, and we'll be taking the headlines shortly. But I'm still here with Miss Jennifer Wamo. You are doing so well on the program today.
thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you to our viewers too for staying with us up to this time. So we'll jump into the paper. That's Daily Sun. That's what I said we're doing before we went on the break. So we'll take the headlines on Daily Sun, and from the top part of that paper here, we see Ekoye Madu concerned. Ekoye Madu concerned Nigerians ask UK to release ex-deputy Senate President wife from custody. That story is on page 27 of Daily Sun. We also see as headlines here. It says anxiety heightens as Umahi Ayade Ikpeazu meet Wike. That story you find on page 6 of the Daily Sun newspaper. I have to make a headline on the Daily Sun. Abuja, UK issues stay off alert to nationals. FCT tightens security. Security operatives shot mall. You find that on page 6 of the Daily Sun. At the bottom part of the Daily Sun here, we see 2023 Efcc teams up with Inec to end vote buying. And on the sides there, we see varsity bans spaghetti gown, nose rings, tattoos, orders. That detail is on page 6. Right under that, it says flawed. Lagos donates 50 million naira to Bayelsa as federal government hands relief materials to IDPs in Rivers State. That detail is on page 8 of the Daily Sun. All right, let me come to you, Jenny. I'd like us to look at the story of varsity banning spaghetti gowns, nose rings, tattoos, and others. And this happened right here in Rivers State, in the Rivers State University of Technology. That's the RSUST. And when that story broke, when that memo came out, a lot of students were in shock, kind of, because, but I was wondering why they were, because the times have really changed.
Yeah.
And so they don't expect the university authorities to begin to dictate to them what to wear and what not to wear. But what do you think? Do you think the decision is timely?
I want to come in with the code of conduct.
Okay.
Yeah. So every organization have how they decide to carry out their activities and how they behave, starting from dress code behaviors,
Yeah.
and more. So it's actually at the right time. It came at the right time. I don't know why it's become a shock to them. I don't know why they felt shocked.
Yeah.
Because some other universities are also practicing that, and
Yeah.
to some extent, is helping them. Let's remember that sometimes these students don't just wear this because it's what they want to wear, but there are also some reason why the university has brought this in. Because here you have people's husband as lecturers,
Yeah.
you have people's husband as students also, and the higher percentage of people that wear this, you see what they said, spaghetti, these are the female, and they've got this kind of body that is very that can pass any kind of information at any given time. So it's very right, even in a personal living, the way you want to live, create a legacy, the way you want people to see you, to perceive you, one should dress well.
Yeah.
Dress well.
I think
because after the university, something awaits you. It could be a job. It could even be your own establishment. When you have an establishment, how will you dress? How will you present yourself? So I'm thanking the university body for introducing this. It's very right, because some other universities have been practicing it.
It's been
nice.
there.
So,
I know that the Lagos State University is also have this law where you're not allowed to dress irresponsibly into their campus. You'll be sent back or probably held or remanded in their security post until somebody brings proper clothes for you to change.
It's called a school, so you should learn different things.
After all, the only reason that will keep any student in the school environment, it's your classes. Although we understand that the university degrees are given in character and in learning, so you cannot leave one for the other. So you must have good character to also complement your degree. It is expected that every university student should understand that the first thing that is keeping you in that environment where you are is your studies. Focus more on your studies than your outlook. What are you wearing? We are not expecting you to dress in rags and look shabby and all messed up, but then at least dress responsibly. It pays to always look or have the right look at every time. For the girls that wear extremely short things or revealing attires, that is not important. I mean, you could be causing distraction.
That can even make one to lose focus.
You could be causing distraction.
While you're planning to cause distraction, you're also losing focus.
So, and then we know that, they say, why should any guy be worried about the short dress another girl is wearing? If he has self-control, he should, that shouldn't be. But then we don't want that kind of situation where people begin to forget the main reason of their being in school. So this shouldn't really cause any disruption in the system. They should all just, own up and move up or step up to the responsibility that is expected of them and dress properly. And UST is not the first school that has given this law, and I feel it is timely for the boys. These days you see guys draw tattoos from head to toe, and these guys they claim to be artists or whatever they say they are in school. You're still undergoing your degree program, and you're already mapping all your body with tattoos, earrings everywhere. I wanted the culture where they learn it from, but then it is something that they need to reverse.
And that goes to this popular. You said the way you dress is the way. Thank you.
That's how it should be.
Thank you.
All right, I want to thank you so much, Jenny, for making it to the program. And viewers, thank you for staying with us up to this time. But that's all we'll be taking today on the program. Do well to join us next week for another fresh episode of the Newspaper Review here on Top TV. My name remains William Sabule. Thank you for watching.